This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Cabo Jim Schaller.
Welcome, good neighbors, to episode number 154, the Good Neighbor Podcast, Estero. Today we have good neighbor, Dr. Kimberly Greene from Sandy Paws Veterinary Hospital. Doctor, welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Always good to get to know people here in our community locally and understand what they do. So I know you're a veterinarian hospital, but can you share with our listeners a little bit more about what you do?
I am the owner and veterinarian of Sandy Paws Veterinary Hospital. We opened February 1st in Estero, Florida, in the Highland Oak Shops near Miramar Outlets. We're a general practice. We don't have any overnight care ER, but we are, the standard things, routine veterinary care, vaccines to heartworm testing to if you're sick, like urgent care, vomiting, diarrhea. We do have dentistry in the building. We do have surgery for, spays, neuters, mass removals, the standard things. It's all general practice, preventative care, wellness, senior visits, puppies, kittens, the gamut.
All kinds of things. That's great. So
we are a small animal, though. We are cats and dogs only. I don't practice on any reptiles, and I don't do large animal.
Right. You have to say that nowadays because so many people have those, right?
Yeah.
So let's back up your story a little bit. How did you get involved in veterinarian care?
I have been a practitioner I graduated vet school in 2001 from Mississippi State. And so my bachelor's degree is in biochemistry. And so I went to undergrad at University of Tampa, and then I went to veterinary school at Mississippi State. And so basically, many, many moons ago, like everyone else, I loved animals. I felt like originally it was going to be something in the science field based around biology. And then it just led me down the path of veterinary medicine.
Very nice. So we've all had some type of challenge or maybe obstacle along our journey that, we can look back at now and say, not necessarily glad I went through it, but, I'm in a better place because I went through it, whether personally or professionally, and absolutely positively starting your own business is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So is there something that you went through that we could look back at and...
Oh, that's hard to say because I've had lots of steps. I mean, again, I've been practicing since 2001, and I've had all different fields of practice. I worked in small animal practice when I first got out of vet school. I then also have worked for multiple corporate practices. I have also been the managing DVM for 2 different corporate practices. Basically, I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. We've moved several times. We went from Apollo Beach, from where I'm from, to then we went to the Keys. And in the Keys, I was managing a veterinary practice there, and decided that basically around 2013, 2014, that I kind of just, after managing veterinary practices for so many years, being a relief vet for so many years, working for others for so many years, I kind of wanted to switch gears. So I went into the pharmaceutical industry and I worked for Zoetis as a pharmaceutical, which is called a professional service veterinarian. But I moved to Minnesota from the Keys. And so we were there for 5 years as a professional service veterinarian for Zoetis, which is the largest animal health company. And I covered 6 states and had 1,100 hospitals. And then some personal issues at home, which is here back in Florida. So we had to move back home. And I think that's how that led me here, just because of like some family issues that occurred in 2018 that we did have to come back home in a hurry. And my job was not transferable. And so I went back into veterinary medicine as a practitioner on the floor, running a larger practice in Naples, and then decided, okay, well, I've done this multiple times for others, but the last thing I could do before I retire is own my own.
Right.
because I've kind of done everything. I've worked for others. I've worked for corporate. I've ran hospitals. I work for pharmaceuticals. There's not much left but owning. And so that's why I'm owning now and just opened my own. This is my last hurrah before I'm done.
So you've seen this business from a lot of different
A lot
angles.
of different ways. Yeah.
Absolutely. So speaking of the industry, are there any maybe myths or misconceptions that we could clear up for our listeners?
Misconceptions about veterinarians or
Yeah,
veterinarians
just
or
the care in general.
I mean, I think the care in general over the last, if I looked back from 20 years ago to the now, the care is so hugely different. The care 20 years ago till now is just no different than human medicine. It has evolved, 360 degrees. Pets are more, pets now are inside. Pets go to groomers. Pets wear clothes. Pets, they walk around outside in strollers. They're more considered a family member anymore. And so the level of care and the level of what people want is different now. And I think the traditional look of veterinary medicine is different. It's evolved. It's not just I take my pet in once a year for vaccines and that's all I do. I think now people are much more in tune with their pets when they're sick and what the actual true care of owning, whether it's a cat, a dog, it doesn't really matter, is different now. And the expectation of what they want in veterinary care is different.
Yeah, people have become a lot more aware of their pets and their health issues. Before it was kind of like, oh, they'll just deal with it. But now now there's pet insurance. There's, like you said, they're part of the family, so they're treated like part of the family.
Yeah. So the expectation for us is higher, right? Like they want more communication. They want more time. They want all of the things, right? Lots of people want more than just give me some shots and send me on my way. They want explanation. They want understanding. They want higher level of care because they see that in human medicine, right? They want to be on top of it. And so that, veterinarians have to stay in that focus of like providing the best care, providing fair and consistent care across the board, and always offering, these are my recommendations. And then it's up to the owner to decide. But if you think truly that, an animal needs blood work or x-rays or whatever it may be, that to go ahead and offer those things because the clients now almost expect it or want like that kind of information and that level of care.
Now, but outside of that, are you seeing any type of procedures or anything that are maybe, I would say, trending or becoming more prevalent than they used to be?
Mm-hmm. I would say like certain types of, like, for instance, in larger dogs 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the conversation was like, oh, if you have a large breed dog, and I'm talking large breed, I'm talking Danes, like these big, giant breed dogs, there was lots of conversation about GDVs or gastric dilatation and volvulus, but it was more of a conversation of being not proactive, of just be aware that you may have this occur to your big dog. And now the conversation is more, that's probably the one thing that's evolved a lot, is the conversation now is more geared to, should you do a prophylactic gastropexy to protect them, or even in like the brachiocephalic dogs, which everybody has anymore, Frenchies, bulldogs. The conversation a lot of the times now is more about brachiocephalic breeds and should you be doing airway surgery on them and doing some changes for their anatomical benefit. That wasn't a thing 10 years ago. Like, that was very rare. You were only doing it because they were, having issues, not because you're prophylactically trying to prevent issues.
Yeah. So interesting. Medicine evolves just like everything else in technology. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I know owning your own practice is very demanding, but outside of work, what do you enjoy doing?
I live in Southwest Florida, and I came back here again because I was from Apollo Beach, so grew up living on the water and on the beach, and then we went to the Keys, even more beach, not really beach, but more water, more island. Yep. And then when we moved back, we moved again close to the beach. I mean, I love the beach. I love the water. I like being outside. I'm a true Floridian. I was born and raised here. So it's very rare that you meet any of us, but
Yes.
I love the outside. Like, I don't mind the heat. I'm from,
I'm
So,
with you. Bring it on. Bring it on.
so I just love like outside. Like, I think the beach is beautiful, and I could be at the beach all the time. But I get to go to the beach not as often as I would like, but and then I'm with my family. I have 2 kids and a husband, so like outside of there, I'm traveling or with my husband. I do have a son that goes to prep school in Massachusetts for a competitive sport. So we travel a lot to watch him play.
Wow. Busy. So you are truly busy.
I'm very busy.
So what is one thing you wish our listeners knew about Sandy Paws that maybe they're not aware of?
I think that the biggest thing that sets us out is my approach to veterinary care. There's a lot of veterinarians and there's a lot of hospitals. I mean, it's a competitive market. But I think my approach is a little bit different. One, because I'm not a corporate practice. I mean, I'm a standalone private practitioner in a very small space. But we do a really good job at what we do. But I think I spend a lot of time in the exam room. Most clinics are 15, 20-minute appointments. It's as many as they can get in and then get out. And I have run those practices and I understand that practice. But my appointments are 30 minutes to an hour because I spend a lot of time in the exam room. I spend a lot of time with the owners with communication and like learning and trying to guide them and giving them tons of pamphlets and brochures and conversation about, what we're going to do and move forward. And I have longer visits because I want it to be a different experience. I don't want it to feel like you're rushed in and out. I tell people like, hey, when you're coming in here, be prepared. Like it's not going to be a quick in and out. Like make sure you have the time because I'm going to spend a lot of time with you going over what my thoughts are and what my recommendations are for you and your pet moving forward.
That's perfect. You're not just a number. You're providing true personal care, which is rare nowadays.
When you call here, you're going to talk to like I have a very small staff. You're going to get to know them. It's not a rotating door. You're going to get to know me. I email all my clients personally. We check in every day after they come in just to see like how the visit went and what they thought and, go over some stuff. If you've done any type of diagnostics, you're going to get a call from me. You're going to get an email from me. So there's a lot of communication that goes into what I do, but it is a different look. It's also a different feel in here. I mean, you as listeners can't see it, but it is a different feel. You should come in and feel warm and welcome. It should feel like a living room. It kind of looks like a living room in the lobby. You should get a good experience. It should smell good. It should look good. And you should have just a different experience. I want it to be more like a positive experience versus a negative one.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So how would our listeners go about getting a hold of you if they had some questions?
They could easily call. We're open 8 to 5:30 up front. You could call Sandy Paws and talk to their CSRs, and they could put it through to me or leave me a note or a message to get back to somebody. If they want an appointment, they can easily call and get an appointment with me. We're here again Monday through Friday.
Very good. Any last words for our listeners?
No, I mean, welcome. It is different. You have lots of choices out there, and it just really is what are you looking for and what is your idea of partnership with your veterinarian?
Very good. Doctor, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for being such a good neighbor, and I hope to see you out in the community soon.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpestero.com. That's gnpestero.com or call 239-296-2621.